If you're one of the best young female soccer players in the US, the path forward has always felt, well, pretty set in stone, right? Get a scholarship, star for a big college team, and then, hopefully, get drafted. But what if that path, that tried and true tradition, isn't actually the best way to the top anymore? Let's get into it. And that's really the big question facing this new generation of athletes. Today, we're going to unpack a pretty provocative argument that challenges the whole foundation of how players are developed here in the States. The argument comes from a specific source, and they've got a bold claim. There's a different and maybe even a faster track to a pro career in Europe. So where is this argument coming from? It's from a group called the ORTA Pro Soccer Academy. And it's really important to note that what we're explaining here is their specific viewpoint. They're basically saying that the American system, which leans so heavily on the NCAA, has a major, major flaw. Wow, okay, so that's the core of their argument, straight from the Academy's founder. That's a really powerful statement. It's not just a small critique, they're saying the main pipeline to the pros is actually holding the best players back. So what's behind a claim like that? Well, according to them, it all boils down to one thing: time on the pitch. Think about it. The entire NCAA competitive season, and that includes preseason, is only about 3 months long. Compare that to a pro league over in Europe. They're running on an 11-month schedule. I mean, the difference is just huge. Now, let's see what happens when that time difference gets compounded. Over 4 years, a typical college career, an NCAA player gets about 12 total months of in-season competitive development. So what about her counterpart in Europe? A staggering 44 months. That is almost 4 times the amount of high-level training and real game experience. And in the Academy's analysis, this lack of consistent, high-level training has a very direct result. The way they see it, the NCAA system is great at producing physically strong, amazing athletes. But those same players might not have the super refined technical skills or the deep tactical IQ of their European peers. Okay, so if the college system has these supposed drawbacks, then what's the alternative? Well, the argument pivots right over to the professional environments in Europe. These are places that are structured completely differently, focusing on one thing and one thing only: year-round soccer development. And this is the conclusion they draw from that massive difference in development time. It's a bold one. The claim is that because of that immersive, year-round professional setup, the European player is just fundamentally more skilled and more soccer savvy. So this brings us right to the solution being offered up by our source material. ORTA has basically positioned itself as the bridge for American players who want to jump on that European track and do it straight out of high school. So what is ORTA? They see themselves as a direct pipeline, a true alternative. It's a platform built for the absolute best youth players. We're talking some as young as 16 or 17, who've decided that becoming a pro isn't a long-term goal. It's the only goal, and they want to start now. And it's not just about playing more games. They describe their training as this uncanny environment that's meant to feel just like a pro club. It's built on 4 pillars. You've got intense technical drills for ball mastery, soccer-specific fitness, deep tactical learning for game situations, and pro-style film study. The whole shebang. And here it is. This is the real game changer. It's one thing to offer elite training, right? But ORTA makes a promise that is just massive. They guarantee a contract with a top-level professional club in Europe for players who finish their program. A guarantee. Okay, a promise like that is a huge claim. You're going to need some serious proof to back that up. And the Academy supports its model by pointing to 2 things: a bigger trend that's happening in the sport and their own specific success stories. So this whole idea of top players skipping college, it's not totally out of the blue. We've seen a growing list of American stars make this exact choice. Lindsey Horan did it way back in 2012, heading to France. And more recently, you've got huge names like Trinity Rodman and Jayden Shaw going straight to the NWSL, and Onyeka Gamero going directly to Spain. This is the college defection trend that ORTA is tapping right into. But to really bring it home and make their case personal, the Academy puts a spotlight on one of their own graduates, a player named Sophie Castro, who they hold up as the living proof of their pathway. Her journey is laid out as a really clear timeline. After a great youth career, Orta comes in and arranges trials with some of the biggest clubs you can imagine: Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. She decides to finish high school and skip college altogether. And then, even after a pretty significant injury, she comes back and signs a pro contract in Spain with Deportivo Alavés. And let's just stop on this number for a second. 17. That's how old Sophie Castro was when she was already training with clubs like Real Madrid. That is the kind of early, top-tier professional exposure that the college path just can't offer. And that, right there, is the core of the Academy's entire argument. So, after all that, what does this mean for the future of women's soccer here in the U.S.? We've looked at a pretty sharp critique of the system we've all known for decades, and a very detailed look at one possible alternative. I mean, let's be real. With salaries going up and global investment in the women's game just exploding, the pull to turn pro early is only getting stronger. The question isn't just if more players will skip college, it's what that trend means for the NWSL, for the U.S. women's national team, for the whole American development pipeline. So, will this direct-to-Europe route, which once seemed like such a radical choice, actually become the new normal for America's next superstars? That's the billion-dollar question.